Please welcome Deana Barone in Armed and Extremely Dangerous.
When you hear a bio about yourself, it's so much stress. Oh my God, I have so much pressure on me right now. What an amazing night. I'm moved. I laughed so hard. I don't even know if I can tell you a story right now. I'm transported. I've been transported to New York a few times tonight, and I'm gonna do the same. So imagine it. New York. Are you thinking New York? Yeah, oh, I'm glad. New York, but not in the 70s, no. This is New York Hell's Kitchen in the early aughts. It still looks like the 70s, though, there. It's pre-gentrification, or maybe mid-gentrification. And it's not yet called Upper Clinton. You know, that's the new name of Hell's Kitchen. I don't know what Clinton this is. It's not that Clinton or that Clinton. It's some Clinton who's like she and can transform prostitute-laden and drug-riddled neighborhood into something of bistros and bakeries, and yeah, it's kind of depressing when everything goes fancy, but it's before the fancy. And you know, disco didn't just take place in the 70s, guys. 80s, 90s, aughts. We're talking Justin Timberlake. Yeah, I looked it up on the internet. Okay, on the World Wide Web, under disco, Justin Timberlake, Michael Jackson. Yeah, so not everyone, you know, just if you hadn't been around in the 70s, you could still feel the disco in your, yeah, and you're walking down New York City streets in Hell's Kitchen on a balmy September night. Oh, can you feel that? Can you feel that warm breeze against your skin? All the hair's raising. Sweat trickling, the last whisper of summer. It's like, New York. And I stop at my favorite deli at 49th and 10th. It's right around the corner from my place. Yeah, that's it. I don't know why on the internet they've, like, it's like the face of the market. Yeah, no one can know exactly what the Westfield Marketplace is. It just, but that's it. It was at night, though. 10 at night, Saturday night. And I'm walking along. And now they don't have it in this picture from Google Maps. But they used to have, right outside there, they used to have fruit. You know, fruit on the outside of the deli. And the reason for the fruit is it looks really good. And it makes you want to eat at the deli. So I was on search for the best apple, the best little apple and the big apple. And in New York apples have an amazing reputation. They're incredible. I don't, have you guys, just everyone here from California and just know California apples, or do you know New York apples? Oh yeah, okay. So the thing is though, at delis, oh my gosh, at delis they look perfect, but they're covered with wax and they're tasteless. So I felt like the right New York apple had to look perfect. It was gonna be there, and I'm bending, I'm looking at the apples, and I feel something weird here, and it's like like a pinch on my and it's a guy, right? And I'm in New York. I might be a transplant from the Midwest, but I'm in New York. I'm a New Yorker. I go a little Aretha on him. I know that's not disco, but you know. And I say, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And he goes, "Puta, puta, 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 puta," and a bunch of other stuff. But my mother says I shouldn't say the other things, but not nice. But puta, puta, it's like his own mantra, you know, like his own dance, his own disco dance. But I'm not feeling it. He's getting in the way of my groove. So I say, do not talk to me like that, right? Because that's what you do if you're a New York ladies, yes? I mean, if somebody comes at you, you come back at them. You can't, are you allowed to swear here? You can't fucking talk to me that way. I'm a New Yorker. I'm in Hell's Kitchen. And I look down at the apple that's in my hand. I think, God, is it gonna be, am I gonna be able to eat this apple? Or, am I gonna be able to get away from, and I look back up and he has taken out from his pockets 2 box cutters. that's not his hand. Tried to find him to take the right picture, but I couldn't. Shades of 9/11, right? 2 box cutters, and he's continuing to yell invectives, is that the word? Invectives at me. And I realize in this moment, I'm gonna either get, and it's strange, right? Because there's nobody around. That's the other weird thing. Not one person, I don't know why it is when things like this happen, not one person is going by and nobody from the deli is seeing it. They're all inside. So I realize I am either gonna get cut or raped or I don't know what. I mean, who knows what's gonna happen? Maybe he has a friend around the corner, I don't know. And time stands still. Has that ever happened to you? Well, Aikido masters talk about, well, okay, let me flash forward. So I'm in Los Angeles, and I'm a professional actress, as you found out from that bio, and I got hired to be in this fictional documentary, and it's put together by this famous animator. It's not going to be animated, it's going to be live action, but his name is Corky Quackenbush. Hi, Corky. I mean, a name like that, how can you say no to any project with a guy with a name like that? But on top of being a director, he's also an Aikido master. And he has this idea to film something where he hires all these kind of interesting type people who know nothing about Aikido, teach it to them, and then because they learn Aikido, they're gonna change the world. And he's gonna change the world by filming them change the world. That sounds pretty cool, right? I mean, I guess I always wanted to change the world. It sounds a little la-la and everything. I mean, I'm transplanted from Midwest and then New York, and LA is a little much sometimes, but you know, it sounds pretty good. So I say yes, and our first lesson is about the philosophy of Aikido. So I don't know if does anyone here know about Aikido? Is it, no? Oh, okay. Oh, somebody here? Oh, okay. So you can correct me if I'm wrong, because this is based basically only on what Corky Quackenbush told me. But he said that Aikido is a little bit different than other martial arts, right? Most martial arts like karate and taekwondo. I'm just saying it like that. I don't really know how you pronounce it, but that they you roll with the punches, right? Everyone hears about that. You take the energy of the hostile person and then you roll with the punches. So Aikido, you do the same thing, but the difference is that when you roll, you bring the energy through you and then you offer the energy to the person. That's the first part of it. After you do that, you go like this. The idea is that, okay, let me see if I can explain this. When people are hostile, they're actually looking for connection, right? But they don't know how to do it because they were like effed up in childhood or they're, I don't know, angry white men or I don't know, whatever. We don't know. We don't really know, right? We don't know why people do this. But they're looking for connection. And so they come at you hoping for connection in the only way they know how. Now, if you meet them with aggression, you're connecting with them, but then somebody gets hurt, which isn't good for the world. And if you run away from them and you avoid the hostility, they have to go after someone else because they need the connection. So how do you provide them with the connection and give them what they need, but somehow transform it? This means transform into love. Right? Yeah. I'm like, what? This is so LA. Like, this is like when in LA people say the secret, you know, the secret whole thing, the secret. And then you think, oh yeah, well, the secret works really well if you're in like the 1%, but what about people in the Congo who have no choice and get clitorectomies? I mean, what secret is working for them? I'm sorry to be so crass, but really, that's what I'm thinking. I don't say it to Corky Quackenbush, but I say, Corky, come on. Come on, terrorists, you're gonna go like this? And he says, well, as he would, he's an Aikido master. He looked at me directly in the eyes and he said, we beg to differ. I go home and I can't fall asleep. And the reason is because I'm thinking about 49th and 10th. 49th and 10th. 49th and 10th. I'm standing there, time has stood still. And it's like the universe expanding. The universe expanding, and I can see in my periphery, I can see behind me. I don't know how. And I look at him directly in his eyes, and at the box cutters, or, I can see them too. And I say to him, you don't really want to do this. You can make the choice to run away right now. And he just looks at me and he goes, puta, puta, puta. Puts the box cutters in his pockets and he runs. Good for me, but how the hell did I do that? See, that's the thing. In these stories, you're supposed to have some take-home message, do this and then your life will be better. Or think about people in your past. I don't know, whatever. You're supposed to be smarter afterwards, after a story. I cannot tell you how to go there. If I could bottle it or box it or whatever you're supposed to do with something like this and then give it as gifts, I would, because I don't know. How do we get to this place of love in the days of Las Vegas, what happened there, and Texas today, and New York City? How do we understand these people? Maybe it was just a lifetime of people not giving them this, right? And how do we do this to the kids who become those guys? I don't know. I mean, certainly not this actual movement. I don't know. Maybe we just do this to every boy. I don't know. I mean, if you guys have ideas, I really want to hear them, because I have a little boy at home that I just gave birth to 6 months ago, and I've been thinking about this a lot. How do you do it? And I say boys because, it's mostly guys who are doing this crazy shit. So, of course, we raise them, so 49th and 10th. He runs away. I look at that apple in my hand, and I got so hungry backstage that I ruined my prop. I just couldn't. I'm breastfeeding. I couldn't. I look at the apple in my hand. It's not eaten yet. I feel no panic, just peace. And I can feel my groove coming back. Maybe I am John Travolta. And maybe Hell's Kitchen is still 70s. I take a bite. Oh my God, this is the one. And it's sweet as hell. Thanks.